Where are you from?
I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico, born and raised.
All right. How did you get started in game development?
I got started in game development when I was in college. Going into university during my student orientation, I had a tour of the campus, and when we were in the engineering lab, there was a group of people making video games, and I knew right then and there that that's what I wanted to do. You know, I grew up playing video games, loved it. So that was the moment where I realized, hey, this is something that I can do as a career. And then ever since then, I kind of just started getting into it, took the classes. I actually talked to that professor after the orientation, said, how can I, get in this class? And he's like, go be a computer engineer, son, So I go to become a computer engineer, take all the, grueling engineering classes and the math classes and all this stuff. And then I finally get ready to take his class as a senior. And then he moved to a different university. So then I was just kind of fish out of water and decided to start doing it on my own.
When did you start working on Stellar?
I started working on Stellar a year and a half ago. It's evolved quite a bit since we started, and we've grown from a two-man team. It started out as me and actually a business friend of mine who's like, hey, you want to make a video game? And he was kind of an artist, 3D modeler, so it was a chance for him to learn some modeling as we kind of played around with this game. And then since then, it's turned into a much bigger thing, and we've grown to a team of 5 people now, and we're a year and a half in, and probably got about another at least 6 months to go.
All right. What about game development do you find the most rewarding?
I love games, and I love making games for a couple reasons. I love games because they bring people together. It doesn't matter what age, race, or sex, gender you are, anyone can get together and play video games. It's a very open, welcoming community. And I really like games too because there's endless possibilities. You can make anything, you can do anything, experience anything. And making games, I was always attracted to that because I love video games. They're freaking awesome, right? But then B, it's this mesh of arts and science, math, programming, music, all to create this interactive experience. Growing up in school, I was always pretty good at every subject, but not super good at one. I could hang with the math guys, I could hang with the English guys, but I was never, the best in either class. And I've also always liked art as well. And so video games are this perfect middle ground for artists and programmers to kind of get together and make something special.
All right. How did you react to Stellar not reaching its Kickstarter goal?
So we went for a Kickstarter for Stellar initially, and we didn't make our goal. And I'm okay with that. It was this is the first time we ever tried a Kickstarter, and what I kind of learned through that whole process is that it was just basically too early for us to do a Kickstarter. We ended up doing a little bit of marketing and press, and we actually got through the process of trying to get this Kickstarter funded. We got inside a lot of websites and got a lot of press and coverage, a lot more fans and following, stuff like that. But the game was just really way too early, and what I've learned now is that it should really be, 95% done before you try and do any kind of crowdfunding, because these days people want to see a finished product, not an idea for a product.
All right. Why do you attend AGDG?
I show up to Albuquerque Game Developers Guild, AGDG, every week, and I love it for a couple of reasons. One, I like to just surround myself with like-minded people. I have a very strong passion for making video games, and I want to meet other people who have the same passion. I mean, we can work, not only can we work on projects together, but we can share knowledge that we're all learning along the way with each other and just grow each other's skills. Also, I mean, it's a very talented group of people. Everyone in there is insanely smart, insanely talented, and just having time with talented people makes you step your own game up.
How do you think AGDG becoming a nonprofit organization will affect the local game development community?
So AGDG has recently become a nonprofit, and I think that's going to affect the community in a very positive way. We started out, we have this long history. We started out as an IGDA chapter, and then that kind of fell through, and then it turned into just some people doing game jams, and then AGDG came along, and we finally got, somewhat organized. And the day that happened was amazing. I came to my first meeting, and I knew that I was going to make every other meeting I could, right? And now that we've become a nonprofit, I think that's just going to keep opening up more doors, bringing other people into Albuquerque, opening up doors for people locally through funding and just through personal development, like I was talking about, either like meeting like minds, learning from experts in the industry face to face.
And are your parents supportive of you making video games?
Yeah, my parents are supportive of me making video games. That's an interesting question. I didn't think anyone would be supportive or, not be supportive of making video games. My parents own their own business, and so I've kind of grown up with that mentality that, like, you can start your own business and you can make it, and you just kind of have to work hard. And games these days is really that kind of an industry. You can start up your own studio and just go for it, and they're very supportive of me, chasing my dreams and stuff like that. So that's good.
All right. Is there anything we haven't covered that you'd like to add?
I guess I could just talk about my story a little bit, or let's keep this whole thing. This is always the hardest question. It's like open-ended, like, so what else? Yeah. I could talk about some of the games I've made. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So I've made a few games along my journey so far. The first game I made was this game called Sticky. It's a musical puzzle game for mobile where you can put your own music into the game and kind of jam along. And that was the first game I made, so I wanted to make it very simple. It's kind of like an inverse Bubble Bobble, right? It's like a match 3 and you're spinning the middle around. And then after I got that done, I started reaching for slightly bigger goals and finding other people to help me on these larger projects. So the next game I made was called Vivo. It's a spherical shooter. So kind of like Galaga or Bullet Hell or any kind of arcade space shooter game, 2D space shooter game, but it's wrapped around a sphere. So all the bullets and all the enemies orbit around the sphere. So that was really fun. And actually, I haven't finished that game yet either. It's kind of like in a completed prototype beta stage, but I moved on to working on Stellar since then, and that's kind of taken over my time. And Stellar is a roguelike space shooter in this procedurally generated universe, kind of similar to No Man's Sky or something like that, where you can just fly in any direction and there's cool space stuff you find. But Stellar is more focused on combat, and you can switch from like a 3D view, kind of like Star Fox, if this is the camera and this is the ship. You're flying around behind it, and then you can switch to either the right, left, or top-down perspective and squish the world into 2D, and then it becomes more of like an arcade game, and then you can pop it back into 3D. So that's what we're most excited about right now, and we've got big dreams, and we're getting closer to making them happen every day.